What's up, y'all? I just had the most fascinating exchange and an intersection of race and class and gender and white women's tears that I just had to get on here and process and share my immediate reflections. And this may continue to change. So I was in the post office, right, trying to mail this box to New Zealand before I leave the US and carry on with my journey of work. And you know, I'm loving this. First of all, I'm loving being in the DC, Maryland area because I miss black people so much. And you know, this post office is just people of colors, black folks and Asian folks, and that's who's working here. And the dude is, you know, who's you know, ringing me up is just as friendly and down. You know, he tatted up. He like, girl, you ain't bring your stand. You know, like he's just giving me so much just homie joy, right? So I get up there, I do my thing. I'm already cutting it close, right? It's traffic. The post office closes at 5, right? The post office closes at 5. When I see something that says open until 5, my assumption is at 5 o'clock they lock the doors, right? That's my assumption. Probably they locked the door at 4:59. And I got in at like 4:52 with an international package nonsense that was already going to keep them there over time. And he was generous and kind to me and all the other people who were there. So girl walks in, it's 5 o'clock, and the front door was locked when she walked in. And he's like, ma'am, we're closed. And she's like, and this woman is white presenting, ma'am, we're closed. The doors, it says open until 5. It's just now 5 o'clock. He was like, man, we're closed. I was standing out there. I've been out there. He was like, so now you just said you've been out there, but you haven't been out there. That's not true. So now you're lying? I don't like that. I don't like when people lie to me. I need to mail. So then she gave us tear, like the voice was quivering. And, you know, I mean, and she was really about to make her stand that this man had to help her because she was there, right? Like, regardless. And I was like, man, you know, and I can't not say nothing, right? I just can't when I see ridiculousness happen. And when I see white folks operating in their whiteness in public space, I can't not treat that like the problem that it is, because it's a problem. It's a problem, and it's not okay. And the reality is, when I walk in someplace at 5 o'clock and the door is locked, guess what? They look at me like sorry. And the only time they don't look at me like sorry, I gotta be the sweetest, kindest, nicest, love, please help me. You know, I gotta put it on thick. I certainly don't get to be like, but it's 5 o'clock and I'm entitled. And so your boy was like, I said, we're closed. I want your number. So she goes on to be full on post office Patty. And I said to her, he went in the back, and I was just like, ma'am, sometimes you just can't get what you want. It's closed. They were closed. And now you're going to call and get this guy in trouble because he doesn't want to stay here and continue working with you like he don't have a life too. I came here, I work at the elementary school, and I came here as soon as I got off, and now I can't. And I was like, other people have lives too. And sometimes you just can't get your way. That's life, honey. I don't know what else to tell you. And she's like, you know, he's calling me a liar. And I turned around and I was like, you know, like the level of entitlement with y'all is just more than I can manage. And then she was like, who is y'all? And I was like, white people. And I think she thought I was going to flinch with that. And she was like, I'm Middle Eastern. And I was like, girl, you are white passing. And I know you know that. And she was like, and I was like, and I'm offering to you that there are often times when you all move through the world, where white people move through the world as if you are owed things that the rest of us never ever are owed and are never given any opportunity to have. Like the assumption that somebody's supposed to stay at their job longer to help you because you missed the cutoff. And I was like, I'm just offering for you to consider that this might be an act of entitlement. So she took her phone and went on and, you know, went outside and, you know, called the 800 number, crying, doing the most. And at this point, it was clear it was a wrap for her. She wasn't going to do it. Dude was like, you know, I don't know what to tell her. And he was like, she looked like she was going to cry. And I was like, this woman really is about to pull out full-on white woman tears in this moment, you know? So so we wrap up. They wrap up. I'm the last customer in the thing. I leave. I'm like, homie, have a good day. I walk out into the vestibule and she's on the phone crying. And she's like, can you hold a moment? And so she's like, I just want you to know that I didn't give him my, I didn't give them the name or the location or anything. It's just that I need to mail this today and it's very important. And I was like, and by the way, an Asian woman looked in, right? And I'm racializing these people because I think that it's unrealistic for us to ever think that these dynamics happen outside of race. They don't. There is no way to live in a racialized society and not have racialized experiences. And white people get to be oblivious to the ways in which their experience is racialized. But none of the rest of us do. Certainly not anybody who's actually, you know, like present to and doesn't benefit from any kind of proximity to whiteness or whiteness itself, right? So she's like, I just want you to know that I didn't call the I didn't give them his name and I didn't even tell them. I just really need to get this mailed. And I said, why didn't you go to the Safeway and get the stamp like the woman told you? And she's just like, because they only sell books of stamps and I can only afford one stamp. And I was like, if I go over here and get you a book of stamps, can you go on about your day and finish your life? And she was like, yes. So I walked this girl over to the Safeway and I bought her a book. And on the walk, I got to hear a little bit about her struggle. She's struggling. She was in a hit and run. They told her car, a little bit of money she had left. She used to buy a rental. She's a special ed teacher, she's super young, special ed teacher, and doesn't get paid for another 3 weeks. She's struggling, and it was one of these moments where, and I felt no different about any of the exchange or experience that happened to her, because the reality is that life happens to all of us. Hard times happen to all of us, right? And there's a function of resiliency that people of color have had to build that white people just ain't never had to exercise that muscle. And white passing people often have a lazy muscle with it too, because they get privileges in a world that don't make them have to exercise resiliency, right? In the same kinds of ways. But I also understood being 23 and broke, or 24. She was certain 23 or 24. She wasn't more than 24. And broke, and living in Baltimore, but working at a school in Silver Spring. And I was like, girl, why are you living in Baltimore? She's like, that's the only place I can afford to live. Which is true in this gentrified area. That's not untrue. You can't afford to live here on that special ed salary. But I thought it was interesting that she ain't teaching in Baltimore. She's teaching in Silver Spring. It's a very different population of students. Right? So there's this interesting confluence of all kinds of things I have great empathy for, and things that are absolutely a function of her privilege, right? And I bought her a book of stamps. She was like, can I give you the rest? I said, you'll need those stamps later. Keep the book. And we parted ways. And it's just one of these moments where, again, like I said, the confluence of race and class and gender, the ways in which people of privilege do not walk in awareness of the way in which their privilege is showing up, right? A way in which their entitlement, their white supremacy, their white supremacy proximity is showing up, and the expectation, right? And so, I mean, I'm even right now, being an investigation about my own inclination to save the crying white girl. Right? Because I didn't know all the backstory until she told me that, but I also wanted, so there are things to investigate in this, right? There are complicities, there is, this white woman's tears worked enough on me that I went and bought the girl a book of stamps, and part of it wasn't about her white woman tears. Part of it was she seemed genuinely distraught. And if somebody tells me I can't afford a book of stamps, That's actually what the primary conversation is that she told me I can't afford a book of stamps. And I, have some economic privilege, certainly enough that I'm not going to sit here and let somebody who can't afford a book of stamps not have a stamp, and so they sitting in the post office in tears. That's not going to happen. But at the same time, right, I'm in inquiry with myself. How would I have handled it if the characters were different, right? So I just want us to be thinking, right? These situations give us an opportunity to be thinking, how am I showing up in this situation? How is my marginalization trumping other people's? How am I not considering the fullness of a situation? How can I make room for the fact that everybody has life going on, right? How do I not make the life that I have going on more important than other people's lives? And who are the people that I make it more important? So many questions to ask. I'm sitting with it. I'd be interested in you all's reflections. Mostly, don't try me on my threads. Y'all know. Don't come here doing a whole bunch of whiteness defending, because I don't have energy for that. But what do you see operating? I'm much more interested in what dynamics do you see operating as they relate to structures and systems of oppression. And that's what I'm interested in your reflections about. All right. Peace.